two board members.
Oh, gee. Fine. Good evening, everyone. We're reconvening the meeting of the Mount Diablo Board of Education for April 16th, 2025. It is now 6:02 p.m. Welcome, everybody. This is the open session. So item 6.1 is the land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of the Lasan, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok and Northern Yokut, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize that the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District community and the broader Bay Area communities today. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So item 6.3 is approval of the minutes for the regular board meeting held March 19th.
Madam President, I move to approve the minutes for the regular board meeting, March 19th, 2025.
I will second that.
So we have a motion by trustee Count with a second by trustee Mason. Further discussion? Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. It's great to see you, by the way. And that is adopted on a 5-0-0 vote and support from our student trustee. Next, we will move on to the 6.4 review and potential approval of the agenda. Dr. Clark, are there any changes?
No changes, Madam President.
Madam Chair, I would move that we accept the agenda as presented. Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Mason with a second by trustee Nzewi. Any further discussion? Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. And the agenda is approved as presented on a 5-0-0 vote with support from our student trustee. Next, we have the report out of action taken in closed session. 7.1 was negotiations where the board can receive or provide directions to its representatives regarding the represented employees, and we received information. 7.2 is dismissal, discipline, release, or reassignment of public employees. We received information on that particular item. Let's see, 7.3, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. There were two cases. The board met in closed session with legal counsel to discuss a matter of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 549569 by a vote of 5-0-0 in the matter of Bernstein versus Mount Diablo Unified School District, Contra Costa County Superior Court Case C24-01544. The board approved a settlement up to the stipulated amount and according to the settlement terms. The second item under this particular agenda item, the board met in closed session with legal counsel to discuss a matter of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 by a vote of 5-0-0 in the matter of KK versus MD USD Office of Administrative Hearings case number 20250200032. The board approved a settlement up to the stipulated amount and according to the settlement terms. Let's see, what is the next one? And then, I'm sorry, they're on different pieces of paper. For item 7.4, the Student Matter 01-25 request for subpoenas. The board denied the request for subpoenas for student 01-25. The vote was 5-0-0. And for item 7.5, which was the request for a continuance on the matter of student 01-25 in a discipline hearing. The board approved the request for the second postponement for student 01-25 with a 5-0-0 vote. And finally, 7.6, consideration to hear of an appeal of a decision in a complaint against an employee per board policy 1312.1. In one matter, the board voted by a vote of 5-0-0 to decide to not hear an appeal of complaint against a district employee pursuant to board policy administrative regulation 1312.1. And that concludes the report out of our closed session items. I believe we are ready to move on to public comment. Okay. The public may address the board regarding any item not on the agenda. The public comment will also be allowed on each specific agenda item prior to board action thereon. The presentations are limited to 3 minutes each, or a total of 30 minutes for all speakers, or the 3-minute time limit may be shortened. If there are multiple speakers on any one subject, the public comment period may be moved to the end of the meeting. Speakers are not allowed to yield their time. So, okay. So the first speaker for this evening is Corey Lynch Grant. Welcome, Ms. Grant.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Clark and board members. I come before you to respectfully request that you reconsider the decision to remove Ms. Lori Clark as principal of Riverview Middle School. My name is Corey Lynch Grant, and I am a teacher with over 20 years of experience in Title I schools, and I have had the honor of knowing Ms. Clark both personally and professionally. She is an exceptional school leader who embodies integrity, compassion, and dedication to students, families, and staff. Under Ms. Clark's leadership, Riverview has made remarkable progress. Number one, average daily attendance has increased, reflecting improved engagement and school climate. 2, when she began, only 50% of staff positions were filled. She has since hired and retained the majority of staff, restoring stability and consistency. With a stronger team and better attendance, Ms. Clark has led instructional shifts that are yielding fewer Ds and Fs, more targeted academic emotional supports. 3, redesignation rates for multilingual learners have risen due to her focus on effective, inclusive instruction. 5, suspension rates have decreased through restorative practices and positive behavior supports. And 6, staff morale and cohesion have improved. Teachers feel empowered, supported, and proud to work underneath her leadership. These outcomes are not a coincidence. They are the result of focused, strategic, and compassionate leadership. Some concerns have been raised, and I'd like to clarify some of them with honesty. Concerning Ms. Clark's availability to families. Ms. Clark used to hold a monthly event called Cafecito with Clark to connect with parents, and she was always available. However, no parents went. She is always also available by appointment. When she is unavailable, it is usually due to district meetings or pressing school matters, not a lack of accessibility. Concerning Ms. Clark's tone with students, claims that Ms. Clark yells misrepresents her leadership style. When monitoring large groups, she uses a firm teacher voice to maintain safety and order, standard practice in campus supervision. One-on-one, she communicates with a calm, direct, and respectful tone. Her patience is exceptional even when addressing parents and students who challenge school policies. She is always professional and composed. We must not let isolated complaints overshadow the clear positive impact that Ms. Clark has had. Her leadership has improved Riverview in nearly every measurable way, from attendance and academic achievement to staff morale and school climate. To remove her now would disrupt our meaningful progress and send a troubling message about how we value effective, principled leadership in our schools, especially in Title I communities. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Clark. And thank you, Riverview staff. The next speaker is Heather Hollis.
I'm here on behalf of the Bay Point community. A lot of families have been receiving retaliation. Their children have been direct targeted because we are the families that have been speaking out about Riverview, what our kids are facing. I'm also live streaming with lots of kids who are joining in who weren't able to make it today. This is 68 signatures. If we had more time, I guarantee you we'd probably have well over 200. In a day to get 68 signatures for the support of firing Clark says a lot. The fact this week, not last week, but the week before that, ever since we submitted our uniform complaints, it has been just horrible for our students. I'm getting calls from my own child. They have their watch on them, being yelled at just for little things. They're not being combative. The morale is completely down. The only positive changes that we have is Dr. Richardson. Kids don't want to be at school. There's always fights. There's always going to be fights. We need someone who represents us. We need someone who is not going to dodge us. I've gone into the office. I know many other parents have gone into the office. She'll run right the other way. We've attended Cafecito with Clark, so we're not no one. We're one of the loudest families at Riverview. We are very appreciative that the district is taking the time to actually listen to us and actually take our concerns seriously. So please do not shut the door on us. We're coming here today with these signatures. If you give us another week, we'll have a lot more. Another thing we'd like to be brought up, that during the school day today, the teachers were collecting signatures during the school day. Shouldn't they be teaching? I understand Title I schools are hard, but this is not a prison. These kids, I've been on the phone with my daughter. Minute she walks in, she's yelled and screamed at. What kid wants to be yelled and screamed at the minute they walk into a class? Teachers ask, what can we do different? I don't know, talk to your coworkers. Maybe if they treat with respect, the kids will too. As an adult, I fidget, I do everything, but no, we expect these kids to sit at their seat straight, don't do anything. Otherwise, if they play with their hair, fidget with their paper, they're being rude and disrespectful. These kids need kindness and compassion. They don't need an iron fist coming down. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hollis, and parents from Riverview. Jennifer Smith.
Hello. I was asked to read a letter into the record signed by 30 of the Riverview staff members.
Can you speak more closely into the mic?
Sure, sorry. Dear Mr. Clark and MDUSD School Board, we, the staff of Riverview Middle School, are writing with heavy hearts and a unified voice to express our deep concern and disappointment regarding the news that Principal Lori Clark will not be returning to school next year. As educators who have worked through years of uncertainty, change, and challenge, we cannot overstate the impact Ms. Clark has had on our school. Her leadership has brought about real and lasting change, not just in the systems and structures, but in the hearts and spirits of our students and staff. Riverview is not an easy school. We are a Title I site with a diverse population and a high-need student body. We have weathered 2 excruciating years of a previous leadership structure that left staff feeling unsupported, unheard, and overwhelmed. The result? 14 teachers left. That exodus spoke volumes about the climate at the time. Morale was low, trust was broken, our school community was in survival mode. Then Ms. Clark arrived. From day one, she brought with her a sense of calm, purpose, and direction. She did not come to fix us. She came to partner with us, to listen, to learn, and to lead with integrity. Under her leadership, we have experienced a complete shift in school culture. Students are more accountable and engaged. Discipline referrals have decreased. Student morale has significantly improved. Teachers feel safe, valued, and supported. There is trust. There is vision. There is progress. Ms. Clark is more than just an administrator. She is a true instructional leader. She understands curriculum and the challenges of teaching and learning. She models professionalism and compassion. She makes herself available even in the toughest moments. Her presence has brought stability, clarity, and hope to a staff that once felt lost and burned out. Riverview Middle School has experienced frequent changes in leadership over the years, and at times our school feels like the foster child of the district, often overlooked and left to navigate transitions without the long-term support and stability our community deserves. To say that we are devastated by this decision to remove her from Riverview would be an understatement. It feels like just as we are beginning to rebuild, to feel proud of the direction we are heading, the foundation is being shaken again. Our students deserve consistency. Our teachers and staff deserve continued support, and our school deserves the opportunity to grow under a leader who has already begun to create meaningful and lasting change. We urge the district to reconsider this decision. Allow Ms. Clark to stay at Riverview Middle School and continue the work she has started. Removing her at this critical moment not only risks undoing the progress we have made, but also sends a disheartening message to the educators who have fought hard to create a better future for our students. We stand united in this request, not only for ourselves as educators, but for our students, who thrive under Ms. Clark's leadership, and for the entire school community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Nicholas Selby.
So I'm a math teacher over at Pleasant Hill Middle School, and we have a systemic issue in math. It's not a secret. We've seen the CAS scores. They've been presented to the board. We know these things, but we talk about doing things like accelerating learning, building thinking classrooms, all these great things, but they're really just a Band-Aid. They're not really what is going to actually start moving things. All the studies are showing at this point that kids need more math, not less, if they're behind. We're getting them 3-4 years behind by the time I see them in 7th grade. And so when we get this, one way we can do this is we just have to start talking about more math, which is more support classes, but that of course requires, more teachers and more FTE. And so instead of doing things like that, the school district decides, hey, we're going to make sure the class sizes are up to 36, which of course means that we have less people being able to do that, right? We're setting the FTE for the max class sizes for my classes next year are set at 36. That's granted, that's one less than my maximum class size of 37, but it means less individual attention. It means that we're not necessarily going to serve those students that are struggling and need us the most. Thank you.
Next speaker is Tess Nicosia. Is it Nicosia? I apologize. Welcome.
That's all right. Good evening. I've never done this before, so bear with me. I'm writing, this is a message I sent to you earlier today. I'm writing to say that I'm extremely disappointed in the district's decision to let my principal, Nick Ray, at Pleasant Hill Elementary go at the end of the school year. Nick has been an outstanding principal for our site. He had big shoes to fill. He filled Aurelio Buscemi's shoes. Those were big shoes when he started with us, and he did a great job transitioning to our school. He's always supported and respected the staff at our site, and he recognized right away that our staff is a veteran staff, and we know what we're doing when it comes to educating our students. He let us do our jobs. He's trusted us to do our jobs, and he's always supported us with discipline issues. Oftentimes, he's pulled from our site, as other people have said, due to district meetings. We need a vice principal to help with discipline, which would be nice. Every school should have a vice principal. And because we have discipline problems, it happens. And he's always off site for district meetings. He speaks up at those meetings in support of us. He helps us. He makes sure that he has our back. And my speculation is that people in the district don't like that he speaks up. There's also been a few issues at our school that in the last 2 years since he's been on our campus that have come up that are not his problem. They were HR problems, personnel problems, things that personnel should have taken care of. And he's the fall guy. We're not happy that he's being let go. We were given a survey to give our suggestions as to who we would like to see or what qualities we would like to see in our next principal after you did interviews. What was the point in that? They held interviews for a new principal who you're appointing tonight. Apparently, we found out by reading the agenda, you're appointing a principal tonight at our site after we were given an opportunity to give input. We weren't even asked to be on the interview panel. Don't you think the teachers at a site that's getting a new principal should have some say? I know you can't answer. Anyway, it's just frustrating. I've been at PHE for 20 years, and Nick is, of the principals I've had, one of two great principals I've had at PHE. One of two. He filled the shoes of the greatest, and he's the second greatest. It's disappointing. It's frustrating that you don't even take into consideration what the staff and the parents feel. Not one of you have been on our campus to see what he does for our students. Not one of you have been on campus. The last time you were on campus, Dr. Clark, was a photo op. It was after our lockdown when we thought there was a shooter in the campus. You wanted to be there when the news was there. That was the last time you were there. Yeah, see, you even know that was the last time you were at PHE. Not right. It's not okay. Thank you.
The next speaker is Sarah Timo. Sarah? By my calculation, we can go till 6:40. Does that make sense? So,
Hi, my name's Sarah Timo. I'm actually a parent and a substitute teacher that just started at Pleasant Hill Elementary 2 days ago, which is crazy, knowing that all these teachers have taught my kids. And Mr. Ray asked me personally to come and help their staff. I feel honored, but then heartbroken that Mr. Ray's not going to be there, not going to be there for the kids or the staff. And I just don't know why. I know you're not allowed to tell me, but as a parent, a community member, someone who wants our kids to thrive, I think it's devastating. And we don't know why. Because to me, he's doing an amazing job for a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old. And I see these teachers that have stayed there, that have nurtured my family through all the stuff. It's heartbreaking. And I'd like to know why. Thank you.
the next speaker is Karen Adamo.
My name is Karen Adamo, actually.
I
It's hard to
apologize.
pronounce. No, it's okay. And I came to Riverview to teach ELA in August of 2023 after 18 years away from teaching and 13 as a parent in MDUSD. I expected my new job to be hard. Reigniting my skills would not be a joke, and doing right by a population coping with poverty is ever its own art and science. I knew. What I could not have known in advance were the shocks laid in wait for anyone arriving to find students and staff conditioned from a chaotic run of years. The environment was harsh. Over 2 years, I have had many intensive interactions with Ms. Clark. Often not easy. These have been the work of two educators in disparate roles, starting with no history together, operating under high pressure. Okay. I admire Ms. Clark's savvy at sorting the net of policy, law, and best practices that define what staff must do to manage issues that pop like whack-a-mole. It is on her to make decisions, hard decisions, and to see to it that her teachers steady on path to instruction and curriculum planning that must better support students to thrive. This much is half of it. A principal who calls good shots is nothing if the campus does not feel their voices reflected in these matters. I have relied on Ms. Clark to lead without the kind of ego that impedes feedback and reconsideration. When the moment calls on her to be the authority, she does it. When the moment shifts, tenderness and humility unfold. Her fusion of command with abiding love is evident one-on-one, in staff meetings, and when crises occur. As mom to 3 children in the district, I have worked with many admin over the years. I know how genuinely my principal would show up were I to land in her office as a parent. My probationary path has been hard, as it has coincided with 2 hard, transitionary years in the history of the school. The course has yielded opportunity to build with Ms. Clark the kind of trust that comes when 2 educators stay a path across a protracted dynamic process. If I'm going to keep a pace towards becoming who Riverview needs me to be, I need the principal with whom I have built this trust. Okay, pardon me, a little nervous. Starting over would make waste of all we have knit between us. Okay, I cannot say who doubts that Ms. Clark has steered Riverview from the place where chaos and reactivity left staff and students at a loss. I'll go ahead and close out here because I know you need time, but thank you so much for hearing me out. Very good to meet you.
So we have 12 minutes left for our 30-minute public comment card, and I have 4 cards. So there are 4 speakers, and if you can each keep your comments short so you aren't repetitive, then we can hear all 4 of you. Otherwise, we will have to shift the public comment to the end of the meeting per our rules. The next speaker is Maria Padroni. Maria, welcome.
Hi, thanks for the time to listen. I've been a teacher with Mount Diablo Unified School District for 23 years. I'm also a parent of a 4th grade student at PHE Elementary. I'm requesting that you reinstate Principal Ray to Pleasant Hill Elementary. Over the past 3 years, I've been working with Principal Ray as a teacher and a parent of a 4th grade student at Pleasant Hill Elementary. Principal Ray has demonstrated strong leadership, effectively used conflict resolution to solve problems, and has been totally dedicated to student success. Principal Ray has motivated and inspired the Pleasant Hill community with his strong leadership skills. He has effectively implemented consistent school-wide math tasks that have helped students achieve successful collaboration and problem-solving skills. These math tests were essential in boosting my overall math star scores. Principal Ray has also demonstrated strong leadership skills by facilitating school-wide data analysis for student success. As a staff, under his leadership, grade levels were able to implement tools to support the individual needs of all of our students before CASP testing. Students, parents, and staff and the community have been inspired and motivated by Principal Ray's dedication and commitment to lifelong learning. Principal Ray has effectively used conflict resolution to meet the needs of students, staff, parents, and the PHE community. On a daily basis, he resolves student conflicts quickly and effectively. For example, this past year, I called Principal Ray after school because my daughter was scared and upset and crying after a school incident. He comforted my daughter, listened with deep understanding, and resolved the student issues the next school morning. On a daily basis, PHE students misunderstand playground and classroom situations, which cause problems between staff, parents, and students. He has a unique ability to always be empathetic to everyone's perspective and provide mutual understanding. Principal Ray always investigates problems carefully and promptly resolves conflicts in a fair, constructive manner. Students, parents, staff, and the community all feel deep gratitude for his ability to understand and to respond to all of our student needs. Principal Ray has shown a dedicated commitment to student success. While at PHE Principal Ray has implemented ongoing PHE school-wide social emotional support groups. He also facilitated ongoing data analysis through professional learning communities and staff development. As a teacher, this data has been extremely valuable to guide my instructional practices and improve student achievements. As a parent, Principal Ray has listened to my academic concerns for my daughter and implemented a plan for her individual success.
Thank you. I'd like to give time for the other three speakers.
Thank you for listening.
The next one is Julie Rivers. Are you passing? No, okay.
Hello, my name is Julie River. I have two children attending PHE. We moved here this year. We've had nothing but wonderful experiences with Mr. Ray. I can't say that we have had an even, smooth transition schools. It's been very hard, actually. It's been quite challenging. I have some social challenges with my children. And what we found is even though we struggled a lot in the beginning, the one person we could count on was Mr. Ray. He went above and beyond, like calling me in trying to help the problem. I wasn't even calling him in. I was calling other people trying to deal with problems immediately with like the person, the main source. And Mr. Ray wanted to involve himself and help solve all of the issues we were having. And there were many at the beginning of the year. I think it's kind of shocking just because what most people's comment was as we approached various, parents and community members was why, right? Why did this happen? The problem is none of us know why it happened. It's a confidential manner that could only be discussed between employee and employer. But the problem with that is that Mr. Ray has voiced to me directly that he was not given a reason. So if you continue to act in this manner when you fire somebody or let them go without giving them a reason, that's going to scare away a lot of people from this district. That's going to scare away valuable candidates that want these jobs. People are not going to want to work for this district if this behavior continues. So I was not there. I did not have that conversation with Mr. Ray and whoever delivered the news, but we're all very upset about what happened. And we hope that decisions can be made that can fix this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kristen Tennessean.
Hello, my name is Kristen Tennyson. I've been a PG parent for the last 7 years. I'm here to present a petition with you signed by 100 caregivers from PHE. These were hand collected at morning drop-off every morning. A few parents, when we learned that Mr. Ray had been, it wasn't his choice to leave, we were shocked and decided to reach out to other caregivers. And I've had positive interactions with Principal Ray, but I was so pleasantly surprised to hear most people that walked by me were so happy to sign the petition and were shocked that it was not his choice to leave. So this petition states, I would like Principal Ray to continue being principal at Pleasant Hill Elementary for the 225-226 school year and beyond. And I have emailed this, scanned this in and emailed it to the board comments. We believe Principal Ray is excellent. And we have heard numerous stories about how positively Principal Ray affected families, which is a tremendous achievement considering that PHE is one of the largest schools in the district and accepts every student. Changing a principal at an elementary school is extremely disruptive, and you, the board, make these decisions that affect our daily life, but don't get too many opportunities to see the faces of the community you are affecting. So we are here tonight to give you an opportunity to interact with us and hear from us. We are not happy with your decision to not bring back Principal Ray, and we do not understand why you made this decision. The community at PHE reflects the values we are teaching our kids, that kindness matters, that respecting each other is important. We would be hypocrites if we did not show up here tonight to speak with you. Principal Ray genuinely cares for every child at PHE and is invested in their success. He is so invested, in fact, that his own child attends the school. We all recognize how challenging Mr. Ray's job is, yet he makes us feel valued, heard, and supported. It seems like an impossible task, but the culture he fosters is working for student happiness and success. Please realize fully the disruption you are causing to our PHE community with this decision for a reason we do not understand. Please consider asking students, parents, and teachers for their feedback before you dismiss a principal and find a replacement. And please consider extending the contract of Nicholas Ray for principal at PHE. Thank you so much for your.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker is Aaron Machusenko.
Hello. I'm also a parent at PHE. I have 2 children, and I'd like to read what I wrote. We are writing from a place of deep emotion, unity, and love for someone who has made an unforgettable impact on our school, our principal, Mr. Ray. His leadership has not only shaped the direction of our school, but has touched the hearts of every student, staff member, and family within our walls. When he joined our school, he stepped into a place not of need, but of compassion, leadership, and connection. He held purpose and hope. He didn't just take on a role, he fulfilled a calling. He met the emotional, academic, and cultural needs of our school community in ways no one else could. He built a foundation rooted in trust, respect, and unwavering support, a foundation that our kids began to stand tall on. To now have him taken away is not only painful, but deeply confusing for the children who have come to rely on his presence. It sends a powerful and heartbreaking message that even someone who gives his whole heart and meets every need can be taken from them. Our kids deserve better. They deserve stability. They deserve the continued leadership of someone who has poured everything into making this school a home. Our students adore him, not just because he shows up, but because he shows up with heart. He listens, he inspires, and he leads with love and purpose. For many of them, he is a source of strength and encouragement in ways that cannot be measured in words or statistics. He is also a pillow for our staff, trusted, respected, and wholeheartedly supported by the people who work with him every day. Together, we are not just a school, we are a family, and he is the heart of it. We are devastated by the thought of losing him, and we strongly urge those in decision-making positions to reconsider. We ask you, by removing him is not just a change in leadership, it is a loss felt deeply by an entire community. We want him to stay, not just because of what he does, but because of who he is. Please hear our voices. He understands the depths of his impact, and we ask you let him continue to lead, to guide, and to be the force of good that our school and our children so deeply need. Thank you.
That concludes public comment. Thank you for turning out this evening. Next is communications from district organizations. A single spokesperson from each recognized district organization may make a brief presentation. Mrs. Ortega.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Clark, members of the audience. First of all, I want to wish everyone a happy spring, and to my Medea members, I hope you had a restful spring break. And I want to thank you to the members who are still sitting here, who spoke boldly on behalf of their administrators, their principals. This is a very rare incident to see teachers coming out for their principals. So I applaud you for coming out. That is wonderful that you were able to do that. And Dr. Clark, I just want to thank you too for meeting with me for coffee, cafecito, before spring break. I appreciate our talks. I know we don't always get along or we're in agreement, but I do appreciate our efforts and the efforts to work together. I want us to move, Dr. Clark, I want us to move forward and to leave the past behind. We had a conversation about that. So I think we owe this to our students and our educators and our communities to work together. Speaking of efforts, I want to inform the trustees that I have signed a resolution in support of Proposition 30 and 55, School Funding Extension Initiative plan for the November 2026 election time. As a CTA state delegate and someone who supports our public schools, I am very committed to help pass this extension, as this is funding that is necessary for our schools. I hope you will too. And in regard to negotiations, I appreciate the district's efforts to meet with our Medea's bargaining team next week. However, I want to remind the trustees that many of our Medea's asks do not have a cost attached to them. Many of our asks will benefit our students, and yet I hear that the district continues to say no. However, I'm looking forward to our two teams working together to come to some agreements. I know Medea's bargaining team has put in a lot of hours, as well as our executive board, to make sure that we have supportive contract language and that will benefit our students and our educators for the years to come. So I want to keep this short and sweet because I know there's a huge agenda ahead of us. So thank you.
The next item is recognitions and resolutions. Dr. Clark, 10.1.
Thank you, Madam President. So this evening before you, we have Resolution 24/58 in recognition of Earth Day and a call to action for climate change. So whereas the global impact, urgency, and magnitude of the challenge of addressing climate change calls for leadership in all sectors of society, all institutions, and among all elected leaders. Whereas district leaders have the ability to approve infrastructure investments that advance stability and alternative energy, and the ability to approve policies that meet or exceed international emissions regulatory standards. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District Board of Education hereby recognizes April 22nd, 2025 as Earth Day, reaffirming our commitment to be part of climate change solutions and to educate our students about climate change. Madam President, I now leave this item in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to approve Resolution 24/25/58 in recognition of Earth Day and a call to action on climate change. And I just want to note for the public that there's a list of initiatives that our district has successfully achieved in this arena as well.
Thank you.
Second.
So we have a motion by Trustee Count with a second by Trustee Nzewi. Is there further discussion on this resolution? Mr. McDougall?
Yes, I'd like to make some comments on this. I support Earth Day. I have since the early 70s. I recycled before it became popular, separating green glass from brown glass and clear glass, aluminum from tin, used oil, so on. Taught my kids to do the same. But connecting it to a call to action on climate change, I disagree with the statement that 97% of scientists agree. What scientists? Seems to be only those funded by the climate change grants. I do say that climate change is real. I believe there are fluctuations in the world's climate, both cold and hot. The changes are cyclical. We heard about a coming ice age 40 to 50 years ago. Didn't happen. And global warming is possible, but within normal fluctuations. To call it human-induced is giving too much credit to our human activity. There's too much hysteria about this subject. So what's necessary? What's necessary is to take care of our planet. Pollute less, protect it, and conserve it more. I support Earth Day, but not this call to action. Thank you.
So any further comments? Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. So the motion is adopted in favor of the recognition of Earth Day and call to action on climate change. 4 in favor, 1 no, 0, and support from Trustee Ochoa. Let's move on to 10.2. Dr. Clark.
Yes, Madam President, I have before you Resolution 24/25-65, and this is commemorating Italian Liberation Day, April 25th. Whereas April 25th, Liberation Day, marks a pivotal moment in history, commemorating the liberation of Italy from Nazi fascist occupation and the triumph of the Italian resistance. And whereas on this day in 1945, the Italian people united in their struggle for freedom, rose up against oppression, paving the way in a future of democracy and peace. Whereas Italian Americans recognize the importance of remembering and honoring the sacrifices made during World War II and the ongoing struggle for human rights and democracy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District celebrates the past, present, and future contribution of Italian Americans to American society and the state of California, recognizing and honoring April 25th to be Liberation Day. Madam President, I now leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Madam Chair, I move to approve Resolution 24/25-65 commemorating Italian Liberation Day, April 25th. It was the Italian Americans was one of the biggest migrations of people to this country. I'm a third generation, and the saying among the old Italians is that they all came here because they heard the streets were paved with gold. They just didn't know they were going to have to do the paving when they got here.
Second.
So we have a motion in favor for consideration by Ms. Mason with a second by Mr. McDougall regarding the resolution 2425-65 commemorating Italian Liberation Day, April 25th. So further discussion? Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. And that motion is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Public employee appointments, Dr. Clark, 11.1.
Nanny from HR is going to handle these coming up. Good evening.
Sorry. Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Clark, Madam President, and board members. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Gilberto Parada Jr. Gilberto has been in education for over 15 years, starting as a Montessori pre-K-3 teacher. He was a founding member of the only public Montessori charter school in Oakland. During his career, Gilberto developed a school-wide PBIS system and 2 dual-language summer programs that he led through the pandemic. He served as a curriculum coordinator, ELD leader, foundational literacy expert supporting principals and their coaches on ensuring students learn to read. Gilberto worked as the interim principal at a bilingual mission district school in San Francisco and briefly served as a director of staff learning and development. Gilberto earned his bachelor's degree in English with a focus on modern and contemporary literature and pre-med, a Master of Science in Educational Leadership with a focus on social justice, and a Montessori 1-2 elementary credential at St. Mary's College of California. Gilberto considers himself a Bay Area native, even though he was born in Hollywood, California. He enjoys traveling the world and meeting the people who represent the fabric of our beautiful existence. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to appoint Gilberto Parada Jr. to the appointment of principal at El Monte Elementary School.
Second.
So we have a motion by Trustee Count with a second by Trustee McDougall in the appointment of Gilberto Parada Jr. for principal at El Monte Elementary School. Further discussion? Trustee Ochoa?
Yes.
Thank you.
We're not debating. There's just this hasn't popped up on our screen yet, just FYI.
Trustee Count motioned and Trustee McDougall was the second. Congratulations, Mr. Parada. Please come forward.
Dr. Clark and board. I am very much in appreciation to continue the great work of El Monte Elementary School, specifically to make sure that we are empowering our young people to become change-making agents for better. Thank you.
You got anyone here you want to introduce? Are you here alone? All right.
Okay.
All right.
Good evening again. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Carrie Nairheim to the position of Highlands Elementary Principal. Carrie has worked in education as a teacher, principal, director of student services, and executive director of student support services. She is thrilled to be back at a school site working with students, staff, and families. Carrie earned her Bachelor's of Arts from UCLA, Master's of Arts from St. Mary's, and Doctorate of Education for Social Justice from CSU-EB. Carrie believes that joy is a choice. When she is not at work having fun, she likes to go on adventures with her friends and family, especially her 3 grandchildren. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Madam Chair, I would like to move to approve the appointment of Carrie Neeram as the principal of Highlands Elementary School.
Second?
So we have a motion by Trustee Mason with a second by Trustee Cound. Trustee Ochoa?
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations. The appointment is approved on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Welcome.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Dr. Clark and trustees. I'm thrilled to be here. What a privilege to be with such an engaged community. So proud of this appointment. Apologize, I'm allergic to the world right now. 14 years as a teacher, 8 years as a principal, 8 years at the district office. I cannot wait to be back with the school community. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have anybody you wanted to introduce? Okay, thank you. Next.
Good evening again. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Madison Benz to the position of an elementary principal, site to be determined. Madison Benz has been the vice principal of Cambridge Elementary School for the past 2 years. She has experience teaching various grades within the elementary setting. Madison earned her Bachelor's of Science in Liberal Studies and Master's of Science in Educational Leadership. Madison recently welcomed her daughter and enjoys music, spending time outdoors, and making memories with friends and family. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
I move that we approve Madison Binns as principal at some place in the future.
I second that. I do have a question. To be decided? How long does that take?
Shouldn't take.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Trustee Nzewi with a second by Trustee McDougall. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. And the appointment of Ms. Spence is approved on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Welcome.
Dr. Clark, board, thank you so much for the approval. I also want to thank my husband and daughter for their support as well.
We want to see the daughter.
I know, look, those little coups were her, sorry. Like the circle of life. Have some music. But I'm very, yep. There you go. I'm very honored and excited to continue working for the students, staff, and families of Mount Diablo, and I am eagerly awaiting my assignment where I will continue my service and leadership. So thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. 11.4. 3 cards. Would you like me to? Okay,
Good evening, Madam President and Board Trustees. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the Board's review and potential approval for the appointment of Ann McNamara Kim as the principal for Pleasant Hill Elementary. Ann brings over 30 years of experience in education, having served as a teacher, a special education teacher, a reading specialist, a principal, and a program specialist. At the heart of her philosophy is the belief that every student is unique, each with their own gifts to share. She is deeply committed to placing students at the center of everything we do. Ann is excited to join the Pleasant Hill Elementary School community and looks forward to partnering with families and staff as their new principal. Ann holds her associate's degree in child development from Las Madonas College, a bachelor's degree in elementary education from the University of Alaska Southeast, and a master's degree in special education from Chapman University. In addition, Ann earned her reading specialist certification from UC Davis and her administrative credential from St. Mary's College. While educator certainly describes Ann, the one thing she cherishes most is mom. She is the parent of 2 college-age sons and finds great joy in watching them grow and thrive as they embark on their own journeys. Outside of work, Ann enjoys traveling, connecting with people from all walks of life, and spending quality time with friends. With this, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Thank you. We have 3 cards.
We have a couple comments, so go ahead and have a seat. Thank you.
The first is Courtney Camparelli.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. My daughter, I'm a parent. My daughter just started in 1st grade at Pleasant Hill Elementary. She's in the autism program there. And we have had nothing but great things with Mr. Ray. When I started there, I was really nervous because if you're a parent of a special needs kid, you're always nervous. And instantly he met with me, he sat down with me, he answered all my questions. Our last IEP, I realized that he knows my daughter. He knows everything about her. He knows everything she needs, and he really actually cares. So I feel like if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I want to end on this note. If anybody has read the Captain Underpants books, my daughter is a huge fan. And she always says, Mr. Krupp is a mean principal, but my principal, I love him.
Thank you. Next speaker is Danelle Gadou. Please correct it if I've mispronounced your name.
It's very hard to pronounce. I'm Danielle Godot. I'm a parent of a son who's in 1st grade at Pleasant Hill Elementary. And what I want to say is my son, he has an IEP, and he didn't have one last year. He had multiple suspensions, and Principal Ray was very supportive and caring during both the suspension process and the IEP process, and the results speak for themselves. My son has gone through an entire year of 1st grade almost, knock on wood, no classroom disruptions, no being sent out, no suspensions, and I think this speaks well to his leadership and the relationships he develops with his students. More than that, however, I noticed that there are multiple schools getting new principals, and I could find no information as a parent as to why this was happening. And I think that the principles of good government, transparency, and accountability mean that as voters and parents, we should be given more notice of this happening, and we should be told why it's happening. And so I would encourage you, even if you feel that you have a good reason to move forward with this, to hit pause until you can explain your decision-making to the parents, because otherwise, as you can see from the number of people who came out, you're going to really erode the faith of the parents and teachers of this school in the school board and, to some degree in the process of local democracy itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Danny Milks. Mr. Milks, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Danny. Thank you for having us all here today. I have 3 children who are at PHE and PHMS. I also taught at PHE, both under Ms. Buscemi and Mr. Ray. I'm there all the time volunteering. I'm on campus, bike to school every day with our kids. It's a very involved community. We love it there. Mr. Ray is part of that community. As parents who like him, we don't know why he's not being brought back next year. The children like him. They don't understand why he's not being brought back. The teachers are here and they like him. They don't know why he's being brought back. This is on you all to communicate the changes that our school needs to be better, because so far we don't see that. We don't see why you've made this decision that is wrecking our community. And I say that not lightly, but a principal of 650 or so students, that's a lot of students to take care of. It's one of the bigger in this bigger elementary schools in the school district. If he needs help, then give him the help. Don't just say we're going to switch it out without really engaging with us on what we need to make progress for our children, because we don't see it. You apparently do, but you haven't communicated that to us. And as the previous parent said, the transparency, the trust in the board to make the right decisions, that's being eroded by this process. It has nothing to do with the incoming principal. I'm sure they're a great person and we will work and support that person. But I would ask that you actually pause this particular process right now until you can engage with us and determine what PHE needs moving forward, because we don't get it, we don't see it. Work with us to make that plan forward rather than imposing it from above blindly, quickly, surprisingly. We're very upset, and we hope you reconsider this by pausing this particular agenda item until we can engage together. Thank you.
I'm just going to speak. We don't reply to public comments. We're not allowed to. However, I will say that personnel matters are legally confidential. That means legally we cannot talk about them. Thank you.
I move to approve Ann McNamara Kim as principal of Pleasant Hill Elementary.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Nzewi with a second by trustee McDougall regarding the appointment of Ann McNamara Kim to principal at Pleasant Hill Elementary School in the fall. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that appointment is approved on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Ms. Kim?
Good evening, everyone. Madam Board President, the rest of the governing board, Dr. Clark, I am so excited and so grateful to be appointed. I'm realizing I'm stepping into some big shoes, but I'm committed to the community, to the staff, to the parents, to work together to make sure that all students are successful, all students feel included, and I have a feeling we're going to have a great upcoming year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you have anyone you'd like to introduce?
Well, I have two students away at college, so they're somewhere out there, but I have a feeling my 84-year-old mother is tuning in remotely. So,
Okay. Well, pull your ear.
There you go.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One more.
One more. Hello.
Would you like to proceed?
I would
Thank you.
love to proceed. I'm just like, okay. Hello again. Good evening. So, Madam President and Board Trustees, the Human Resources Department is bringing for the board a review and potential approval of the appointment of Luis De La O for the position of the Custodial and Operations Manager. Before joining the district as a custodial coordinator in 2024, Luis began his journey in educational work as a youth soccer coach for Concord AYSO. He had the honor of coaching a diverse group of students aged 6 to 14, both boys and girls. Luis pursued a degree in business administration from San Francisco City College and California State University, East Bay. Originally from San Francisco, Luis has made the East Bay his home since 2000, where he lives with his family. His previous career in the hospitality industry not only enriched his professional experience, but also granted him the opportunity to travel and immerse himself in various cultures around the world. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion for Luis De La O to be the manager of custodial and operations.
Second?
So we have a motion by trustee McDougall with a second from trustee Cowan regarding the appointment of Luis De La O for custodial operations manager. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
So welcome. You are appointed on a 5-0-0-0 vote.
Good evening, Dr. Clark, esteemed members of the board, and staff and members of the community. I am here just to voice my commitment to y'all to provide clean, safe, welcoming facilities with our district. I plan to apply all of my experience, as mentioned, that I gained from the hospitality industry, where I spent 20 plus years just making hotels home, away from home for our travelers. So I believe that we can replicate a lot of that into our schools and facilities as well. So I'm looking forward to the challenge, and thank you for this opportunity. Not family, but I do have my my team here also. Thank you so much.
Wait, this appointment is as important as any other across our district because we all want clean schools and welcoming schools. All right, reports and information, Dr. Clark.
We have a report from our multilingual department. I'm just going to preface this. There were 41 slides in the thing. We okay.
I know.
I know.
I'm gonna myself. Yeah. Sorry, I got excited.
The team does a lot of good work, but I think I think you can get it out without 41 slides. All right.
I know that we can read those slides and have previewed them.
Yeah, there are a few that we'll hone in on, and we'll slide through a few. All right. Well, good evening, Dr. Clark, Madam President, and trustees. I do want to first introduce thank my part of my team for support here. I have Lourdes Beleche, who is one of our elementary multilingual TOSAs. We have Amy Fritz here, who is an secondary EL support teacher. And then we have Ann Wintrick, who is one of our secondary TOSAs. So they're here just to support. And unfortunately, Chitra is in India right now, visiting family. So she is not with me. I offered for them to speak with us, but they let me do this. So I will move on. I don't know why everybody cleared the room, because what is our favorite thing to talk about but multilingual learners. So I'm going to hone in on a few kind of segments of this presentation. First, we turned it in, and then I got it needs to be 15 minutes, and let me start my timer. So this first slide is just really a basic slide explaining the numbers of students that we serve in Mount Diablo Unified School District who are multilingual learners. So in the first tile to your left, you'll see the 6,000 number. Those are the multilingual learners that we serve in Mount Diablo Unified School District, TK through 12. The next number over, the 2,000 number, those are in addition to the 6,000. Those are 2,000 students who we monitor, because we're required to monitor students for 4 years after they have reclassified. So that's a great number of students. We continue to monitor that they are making progress. 1,146 students are duly identified students, meaning that they are multilingual learners as well as have an IEP. The newcomer number, 1,853, are students. The definition of newcomers are students who were born outside of the United States and have been in U.S. school system, any school system in the United States for 3 years or less. A lot of times people think newcomer means their first year, but it's technically 3. And then we have 799 students of the 6,000 who are at risk for becoming LTELs, and we're going to talk mostly about LTELs tonight. And then that number that's circled in green, the 1,645 students, are long-term English learners, meaning that they have been in a U.S. school, mostly ours have been in Mount Diablo Unified School District for 7 years or more and have not yet reclassified. Okay, so I won't spend too much time, but I did just want to draw your attention to the fact that there is a California EL roadmap, and it is something that we want to make sure that we are using as a roadmap for our district. It was adopted by the State Board of Education of California in 2017, and we are asked to use this as a guiding document. So I will not spend too much time, but there are 4 main principles there, and we are slowly building this out with our teachers and administrators, and this is an area we will really be focusing on next year. This is just to say that their multilingual learners kind of fit all kinds of categories, so I will move through that. I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this slide. We talk a lot about reclassification, we talk a lot about multilingual learners, and I don't know if a lot of people know exactly what the process is from start to finish. So every student that comes to Mount Diablo Unified School District or any district in the United States, when they enroll, their families are asked to fill out a home language survey. And there are 4 questions on our home language survey. Basically, what languages are spoken at home, student, what do they speak? And if there is any one of those lines that says a language other than English, for us, that's a flag. So our department gets really excited. And what we need to do is within 30 days of enrollment, we need to provide that student with an initial IEP. Anyway, sorry, an initial LPAC. Sorry. So in 30 days, if within that time frame, we test the kids. So just so you guys are clear, at our elementary schools, that happens at the elementary school sites. The kids come in, we find out, and we let one of our ML support teachers know that it's time to test, and the clock is ticking. For our secondary, we have our assessment center at Willow Creek. So any kid coming in from 6th to 12th grade, we invite them in and they take their initial LPAC with us. If it shows that they are initially fluent in English, then they kind of move on their way. Nice to meet you. Congratulations, move on. And we're not monitoring you anymore. However, the large majority of our students take that initial LPAC and don't initially they're not initially English fluent. And so they kind of come into the English learner family or multilingual learners, as we like to say. And this is really important. So sort of the middle left side of the slide is that those students are required to receive their designated ELD and integrated ELD every day. And that's a lot of the work that our department and all of our school sites and our administrators really need to be focusing on. Because in order to improve their language proficiency, they really need high level quality designated ELD of protected time during the day and integrated ELD, meaning in all their content areas, there are scaffolds and supports to allow those students to access the content. And then comes the spring. Spring is LPAC season for the 6,000 students that we just talked about. Every student in the district who is considered an English learner takes the summative LPAC once a year. We start on February 1. We're probably about 85% done. Each of those students need a one-on-one test of speaking. And depending on their grade level, some do group testing, and kindergartners, it's all one-to-one. Okay, so then depending on what they take the summative LPAC, and we are trying to have our students take receive a 4, which is the score required for reclassification. So I'm sort of to the bottom right now. Reclassification has 4 areas, 4 criteria. So we need an LPAC, a summative, and overall score of an LPAC 4, and that's not all. So it gets tricky. So then there's a piece, and if it's an alternate LPAC for our students with severe cognitive disabilities, they take the summative, they need a 3. Then we have teacher evaluation. So in our school district, the teacher evaluation that we use right now is grades. So if you're in kindergarten through 5th grade, you have to have a 3 or a number 4 in all your ELA sections of the report card. And if you are in 6th grade through 12th grade, that means you need to have a C or better in your English classes. Okay, so you need the LPAC 4, you need those grades that we just discussed. Family consultation, that's generally usually the easiest one because I have never seen a family say, no, I don't want my kids to reclassify. But then the 4th one is a basic skills test. And a basic skills test is a test that all students take So we're comparing multilingual learners with their English only peers, like third graders and third graders, or sixth graders and sixth graders. So for many years in our district, students were given iReady, everyone was. And so our students used iReady, or we used iReady for our students to reclassify. Now we've moved away from iReady for everybody, and we're moving to STAR testing for everybody. So we are going to follow suit, and I'm sort of planting the seeds with you all because in a few months we'll come back and ask for approval of moving away from iReady for basic skills and moving into using the STAR. And then if they get all those, they're reclassified. So that is quite a journey to reclassification. All right, I'm going to kind of go through these ones quickly, but basically there's the comparison of the LPAC levels along, and underneath them you can see the ELD standards. So we have ELD standards, and they somewhat align, well, they do align with LPAC levels. Okay, and I already talked about integrated and designated ELD, but they are both required parts of the day for our English learners. Basically, the language is at the core of all the curriculum. And here's just another way of looking at the way the ELD standards are laid out. There are two parts: interacting in meaningful ways and how English works. And our students really need to have access to all these pieces. I should have mentioned that the LPAC has 4 domains: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And so those are the productive and the interpretive pieces that we talk about. Okay, so I want to kind of hone in on 2 areas tonight to really get my point across. But for this criteria, I have a tickle in my throat. We are moving towards Optel, which I mentioned, and that we currently use iReady, and moving towards STAR test. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about Optel. That's one of my reasons for wanting to come present tonight. So the Optel is the observation protocol for teachers of English learners. Okay, so the state board, or the CDE, I'm sorry, they developed a rubric. And this is a way that our teachers are going to be able to gauge the language proficiency growth for their English learners. This is really important because right now what we use is grades. And grades may or may not be relevant to English proficiency. So maybe my daughter turns in an assignment late, 0 credit for that. Maybe she bombs the test because she forgot to read whatever chapter, she could get a D in an English class. That doesn't mean that she doesn't have strong English proficiency, right? So right now, one of our metrics for the teacher evaluation is grades, and that's tricky because it's not necessarily aligned to a student's language proficiency. So basically the Optel, it has the alignment towards the proficiency levels and the proficiency descriptors. And so we are working now on like baby steps of people tinkering and piloting Optel. And we have a lofty goal this spring where we're trying to have at least 1 teacher trying it out at every elementary school. And we've picked, I think, 5 of our middle schools and a couple of our high schools where we're trying it out. So we start getting feedback and people are starting to kind of get an understanding for this. And then we'll get feedback and then we'll be broadening this for next year. Okay, and this is just a little bit of a glance of what it kind of looks like. So teachers would be observing students when they're interacting in a task or in an assignment in their classroom. And so it's the teachers are observing and marking, you know, what they see their students are able to do with scaffolds, without scaffolds, in group settings, etc. Okay, and then the kind of the bring it home section is I really wanted to talk a little bit more deeply about long-term English learners. If you don't know, long-term English learners are now posted on the California dashboard. Okay, so students, you have to be in 6th to 12th grade. Here's the definition. It's 6 or more years is what the definition is, but really the dashboard is calculating if it's been 7 years or more. So we're starting to shift our data to match the 7 years. So we're not kind of working with 2 sets of data points. So you can see below where it says the dashboard is an English learner who has not attained English language proficiency with 7 years of initial classification. Okay, and why did they put them on the dashboard? Because it's a numerically significant group. And so we, like I said, will be using the 7 years as our Before we used 6 years, but now I just want to make sure that we're aligning with the dashboard. Okay. And this is sort of who needs to, like, if you have more than 30 English learners in your district, we have more than 30 at almost every single school in our district. So we definitely are part of that. And just to give you a little bit of sense of where we are in the state, 47% of English learners are long-term English learners. When I say that and see that, that's really daunting and scary, because that means that almost half of our English learners are long-term English learners. And I actually wrote down our districts. We're pretty close to that. We're actually under. I want to say we're 27%. Of course, my things are out of work. 27% of our English learners are long-term English learners. So we come in under that. I didn't know if they were calculating of their secondary students or not. Anyhow, so also it does say here at the bottom, 32% of long-term English learners are duly identified. Again, students who have an IEP, in addition to being English learners, 40% of our students are duly identified. So we're unfortunately above that. And that's a sort of chicken and the egg conversation. Okay, so this is our dashboard, and on the left, the third one down is where our long-term English learners fall. So our progress, we're in yellow, chronic absenteeism, orange, suspension rate, red, graduation rate, green, and then we have our ELA, we're in the red, math in the orange, and college and career readiness in the orange. So hopefully this is not new data, but we're just kind of honing in on the long-term English learners. So this is our ELA SBAC scores. On the left, you'll see the long-term English learners, and then I'm just comparing them to all students. So all students in ELA are in orange. The long-term English learners are in red. That makes sense. Our long-term English learners have not been able to reclassify, probably because their reading and writing skills are not at an appropriate level. So these are our LTELs, our long-term English learners on the ELA SBAC. So about 75% of them are at standard not met. We don't want to see this. Okay, here's our math. Math is interesting. We're on par with all students. So it's interesting to see that the types of assessment that are less language heavy, our students do. They're on par with their English only peers. A little bit better in math, but not wonderful here with our LTELs in grades 6 through 12. Attendance, long-term English learners are in orange versus all students are in yellow, so slightly lower. Suspension rate, red. And what we know about kids who don't come to school, they're not accessing their education. So we have questions about, what's going on there compared to all students in orange. And then college and career ready, we're 2 gauges down from kind of the rest. So that is something we're really looking at. Do our students have access to all the classes that they, need and could use? And the tricky thing is, until you reclassify, you have to have a period of ELD or ALD in high school. So it sucks up one of your electives, and therefore you have less time in your day to take some of these other classes. So it's a negative cycle. So just so we know, last year, I'm checking my time, Dr. Clark. Ooh, I'm close. Okay. So last year, just to show 2,884 students of our English learners had no growth or regression on our LPAC. So we're working on doing better, much better. We have ideas for this. Okay, and here's just a breakdown. I did say 40% of our LTELs are duly identified. It turns out to, I see I have a typo. 55% of our LTELs are male, 45% are female. And these are numbers broken down holistically, just secondary. Okay, so this is 6th through 12th graders. You see our numbers about half. A little less than half of our multilingual learners are in secondary schools, but that's how the breakdown is. Okay, and then I won't go through all of these slides. I know you guys have had an opportunity to see them, but generally speaking, we know that our long-term English learners have had inconsistent ELD, inconsistent teachers, often long-term subs, transition from school to school, tend to come from lower socioeconomics. And I will say I need to give credit. A lot of this is the research from our very own Dr. Rosie Reed. She wrote her dissertation on long-term English learners. So some of this is straight out of her dissertation. So mentioned here, like I said, have had substandard ELD services. But this is the one that's kind of the kicker in my mind, that they have mostly started school in the United States in kindergarten. Okay, and that's true for our district too. So the students that we have, mostly that are long-term English learners, have been with us. Most of them are actually born here in Concord, Martinez. So we need to do better. And ideally, we're reclassifying our kids before they graduate 5th grade if they've started with us. That gives us 6 years, sometimes 7, if they're starting with us in TK, to really get them the skills that they need, because it's not all about reclassification. What it's really about is a proficiency level high enough that our kids can access their curriculum and all their classes and do well, and that language is not a barrier. And I would say language and literacy are not a barrier. Just to let you know what we're working on, lots of things. Here are a few top ones. This year we did have our elementary teams, our multilingual support teachers at all of our elementary sites, focusing not only on newcomers, which has kind of been our past practice, but to focus on those kids who are right on the cusp and really do some intentional intervention to see if we can help those kids reclassify, get them out and go to middle school with no ELD needed in their schedule. We have specifically strategically focused on 7 large sites this year as a department. So Mount Diablo, YV, Riverview, Oak Grove, and 3 of our elementary schools to lean in more with coaching and admin support and providing PDs there, because those are some of our largest EL sites and also some of our lowest data in terms of long-term English learners. We were really excited that we partnered with the whole TOSA team, our multilingual elementary team, did great PDs with language and literacy professional development, because we know that the students who have access to high levels of literacy instruction are going to be much better off. All of our secondary teachers have gone to constructing meaning training. That is about integrated ELD. So humanities teachers, mathematics teachers, science teachers, they have all come through. Anne is part of that, Katrina Samoa as well. We have trained, I think, upwards of 90% of our secondary teachers in, to know what the integrated ELD strategies are. All right, and then moving forward for next year, I've kind of changed the allocation of where we're putting the support. So high need schools are getting higher levels of support. It's not just based on numbers. We've done ELD walkthroughs at 8 sites so far, and we are piloting our Optel, which is not just great in terms of reclassification, not leaning on grades, but I truly think that the Optel is an opportunity for our teachers to really look at language proficiency and then change instruction based on that. All right. I know I'm at time, so I'll wrap it up here. So you guys have seen that, but we are just really excited to be continuing to build and have the conversations with our administrators, our teachers, and our district office. And not to be siloed, that we're working with our partners in special education and the elementary team and the secondary team, because the multilingual learners are at every single school in almost every single classroom. And so everybody needs to be really good at doing this work. All right, and here's our whole team. They're not all here tonight, but we have a small but mighty department at Willow Creek. So we appreciate your time, and hopefully you'll hear from us in a few months to have some approvals about Optel and moving towards STAR testing. And I just wanted to see if anybody had questions. 16.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm new, so I'm learning all these acronyms. So
Yes,
I'm
there are a lot.
slow at learning these things, but I'm getting some of them. Why moving on from iReady to STAR? What's the big difference here?
So a couple things. One, so the basic skills test should really be a test that all students take. And that we're comparing English learners to English only peers. And I don't even know the history because I haven't been here long enough to know when iReady started, but back then everybody took iReady. So our kids, I mean, the English learners took it just like everybody in their classroom, but we've moved away from iReady. Now nobody else takes it except for English learners. So in a sense, you got the initial LPAC, you got the summative LPAC, and then to take iReady on top of the fact that the majority of our students are now taking STAR, it's more time away from instruction, another test. And so if they're taking STAR anyway, because their whole 5th grade class is taking STAR, then we just want to mirror that. And then we are creating our cut points, because the point of the basic skills is to compare English only or English learners with English only grade level peers. Does that help? So we've phased out of iReady for the rest of the district. We didn't quite phase out yet because until we were sure and we had the right metrics, we didn't want to kind of pull the rug yet.
And we'd be paying extra for the iReady to be able to use
So
that.
we just want
company.
to.
It's another company, separate company from Star.
Okay. All right. And then I have a question on why is it the definition from LTL going from 6 years to 7.5, 7+ years? I'm trying to grasp what is our problem with getting them done earlier?
Yeah.
Why is it taking longer?
Well, it takes more than that. That when you hit 7, that's when you turn into a long-term English learner, the LTELs.
Okay. You did mention several things here,
Yeah.
absenteeism and moving to different schools, that sort of thing.
Yes, I think there's a lot of transition between sites. There are a lot of, I think, this is my own opinion, we need to get to a place where kids are getting super solid language instruction, literacy instruction, day 1 kindergarten. Like we don't want our kids in the red already at the beginning, because then we have further and further and further to kind of fill. So we need to kind of come out swinging real hard, first day, TK, kinder, first grade. And we need to build our teachers with more strategies for language, because some kids come in and they don't have any English yet. And so we need to support our teachers to be able to artfully and scientifically research-based ways to get them in and get our kids reading and writing quickly, which is tricky if this is your second or third language. Yeah.
And that relates to you mentioned the language and literacy PD that it was all K through 5. Can you just talk a little bit more about what that is? What
So the language and literacy PD that we're in our 5 down, 1 to go. So earlier in the year, multiple departments together provided really in-depth the science of reading, but you can't read without language, right? Otherwise, you're just decoding stuff that you don't know what that means. So really, Lourdes back here and our other Tosa, Maria, in tandem with a lot of people, we helped provide professional development. All kindergarten teachers, first grade and second grade teachers had 3 full days of that training, and 3rd, 4th, and 5th are in it now. They have 1 day each left, same thing. So not just how we teach reading and writing, but with a language lens, right? So, and really many of our kids speak perfectly. They listen. I mean, those are never the scores that hold our kids back. A lot of times our secondary teachers, I had no idea this kid was an English learner. And then if you see the writing, a lot of times it's our academic language. You have to have very high academic language to get a B or an A in a 11th grade English class. So we really need to be building the academic language for our students.
Excellent presentation. Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much. And I just want to appreciate how you have worked across the silos that traditionally exist in education, because, when you talk about the number of students that are duly identified, we all need to be working together, and we need to make sure that the students are getting all of the different pieces that they need. So I love the way that you're talking about getting the science of reading, but also that language piece, and also working with special education as well, because so many of our students have all of those different things happening in the same student body. So thank you so much.
Random question. It's not that deep, but it's just how my brain works. Okay, so when a student has a language other than English spoken at home, and you assess them and they're fluent in English, do they become part of the 2 groups taking now STAR, moving to STAR? Are they still part of the multilingual measure, or are they part
We
of
know that they're out there where they're called IFEPs, initially fluent, but we're not really watching, like our department's not really watching them. If later on down the road there are issues, we might say, but
or what I mean is
they don't need to reclassify. So
right, I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
What I mean is, which pod are they in the comparison?
They're kind of in the English only.
If they speak both languages.
They're amazing because they're multilingual.
Right.
So we love them, and we don't want them to lose their first language. But we, as a department and as a state, we don't need to monitor them anymore, because they've already gotten your language proficiency is high enough already that you're on par with your English only peers at the get-go. We don't have that many of them, unfortunately. Yeah. Thank you.
No, I just want to give kudos to Catherine and her and the department. They're doing a lot of work. You heard her talk about data and trainings. They can't just sit in their office and just do this on their own. They have to get out and train folks, train teachers, train administrators, so that our administrators know what to look for. So that's and again, this can't happen in isolation. And the one thing that I've really noticed this year, and one of you hit on it, is we have been getting out of those silos. We regularly are having meetings with our multilingual department, special education, homeless and foster, our elementary directors, secondary directors, getting all those folks in the room so that number one, we're all speaking the same language on how we can best support our students. But number two, we want to maximize the efforts that we're pulling principals off campus, where we're pulling teachers in to get trained and all that. And if we're all doing our own thing and not working collaboratively, then it's going to create more work for everybody. So anyway, I just really want to recognize the work that's taking place in the department. Yeah, thank you.
Remarkable. So we're ready for board member reports. Let's start with Trustee Mason.
It's been so long since we had a meeting. I went to the adult ed medical fair that they had, that we had a lot of our students there. I tell you, Dr. Clark, I continue to be impressed with our kids when they're out and about. They're so respectful. They were there eating a lunch provided by our own food services. I went to the DLAC meeting where I heard a lot of what I just heard tonight shared with the parents. They also had a group talking about an event that's happening, I think tonight at DVC, for parents to go to. The PG&E does an annual wetlands program out at Riverview Middle School with the kids, because half the kids have no idea of all the amazing things that are in the marsh out there. So they partner with a college, I believe it's Sacramento State, and the college kids come out, take the Riverview science kids out there and teach them all about footprints and plants. It's really, really cool. It's paid for by PG&E. I went to the PAC meeting where we had a good presentation from Dr. Fontanella about the college and career programs that we're offering. And I always continue to be impressed with all of the different things we offer for our students. I went to Valhalla's art night that they had, and they have a really amazing art teacher, Mr. Clark, which is part of the new art program. And he must be really passionate about what he does, because the kids' art was amazing. He really has a way of getting, they had superhero themes and all these different themes. I was very impressed. Big turnout, lots of parents there. And then I went to Shore Acres ELAC meeting, where the English language department was there, but talking about how you help your kids at home, what the parents can do to work with their kids. And I was summoned to meet with Congressman Garamendi. He met with several leaders from East County and Martinez to share our concerns about the effects that the changes in DC are having on our programs. And I'll just say his description of me is, wow, you're really passionate, aren't you, about what you do? And then lastly, but not least, I went to Mount Diablo High School's baseball game last night. Shockingly, it was freezing out there. But again, our kids, they were playing Miramani, and I don't know what the score ended up being, but they played with heart, and we have one heck of a pitcher, though, I will tell you that. So I look forward to going to another game in the future.
So, Trustee Nzeli.
It has been a while. We went to CASA, the California, oh my gosh, Association. I couldn't get a second A. Association of African American Superintendents and Administrators. Had the most fabulous learning experience. And so I just want to share about one session. I could share about them all, but I'm going to share one session. And I think we were both in this one, addressing racial trauma. That was amazing. So sorry if I steal your thunder. So I'll share this one and you just choose something else. So what I've learned about at least this is the only education K through 12 conference that I attend besides CSBA. So I guess it's both conferences. What I learned is that in these workshops that they are presented by people who are selling things, which can be annoying only in the spam that you get after, because then they sell the list, because that's how organizations make money. Okay, cool. That's such an easy way. But usually, and this is an excellent example, you learn a lot. So this was done by Effective School Solutions. And the topic was the impact of racial trauma. And I'm going to share, there are things that I have said over these years that are really important to me, which is having that all of our students deserve a sense of belonging and safety. And that's what they really talked about, but really also around children's racial traumas and post PTSD and whatnot. The challenges that our schools have are trust, safety, and security. And it wasn't just physical, like safety and security, it's just the feeling of safety and security. And we need to educate the adults to stop punishing bad behavior and not addressing the root cause of the behavior. That in 2022, suicide was the third leading cause of death for Black children. We need to hire the appropriate staff, and we can't just put anyone in front of children. This part was really important to me. We need people who know the community where they're teaching and working. They have to love children and understand the trauma of that community. And because that is often not the case, that's a lot of reason why Black children and families feel unsafe in their school. There isn't love at that school. We need to learn. Dr. Francis did a session of this however many years ago at the parent conference at the beginning of the school year. We need to learn from the expertise of parents and families about their children. There is no one more expert on their child than the people who are raising them at home. We've heard this before. We should have positive phone calls home, not just when there's a challenge. Children need love and connection. Speaking of chronic absenteeism, that's often just school avoidance. There's a reason that children don't want to come to school, or families aren't pushing their children to come to school. And that's when we need to actually build relationships with that family and child to understand what is keeping them from feeling that school is the place to be, and that's a safe place to be. So we should work towards choosing people from the community who have similar experiences of the traumatized children, who are highly qualified, and know what the child needs psychologically, and not to forget about the family. So, and then we have love, connection, and belonging. So I loved it because I love love and I love loving on children. So thank you.
Do go.
I too see that we have had a long time since our last meeting. In fact, I missed the last meeting because I was at my granddaughter's wedding, and I'm pleased to say it went very well. I did tell some of you how the flowers got thrown away, but we got past that. March 27th, I also went to the Valhalla Art Fair the next morning and saw their Comic Con, and I thought that was really unique. All the artwork was very well done. There were some very talented students displaying their work, and it was very impressive overall. On the 1st of April, I had a town hall at El Monte Elementary, and we had about 20 to 25 people in attendance. Our next one will be on the first Tuesday in May, May 6th, and this will be virtual on Zoom. So we're trying to alternate a little bit to live with Zoom. That'll probably be the last one we have for the school year. April 2nd, I went to the high school choir festival at College Park. And boy, did I enjoy that, because it took me back to my high school days when I'd sing baritone in my high school choir. And I guess my school was pretty large because we had as many in our choir in our choir from one high school as they had in the whole massed high schools choir from all 4 high schools here. So I guess when you have 700 graduating people in one class, it's large in comparison to what we've got today. I do wish we had more students interested in singing. That is such a great expression for them to be able to get out and do. So I hope this encourages it. They said this was the first time that Mount Diablo High had participated in 15 years. So I was glad to see that. Very enjoyable. On April 3rd, I attended the last training session on Promethean boards. Now, it wasn't for board members, it was for teachers. And so I was just trying to sit in there and figure out what they're talking about when they're saying Promethean boards. And so I really learned how they're used, and it's really fantastic. A bit about the many things that can be done and how they can tailor it to their students and really use it as a good tool. And I love becoming familiar with the technology that we have. Finally, I want to comment on an SEL survey, which is being conducted this week. A parent advised me on some of the questions. One question for fourth graders, that's 9 to 10-year-olds, what is your gender? The answers were male, female, transgender, gender neutral, non-binary, other, and declined to state. I think this is not age appropriate for that age. Another question was for sixth graders, 11 to 12-year-olds. Do you identify as heterosexual, gay, lesbian, bisexual, questioning, or declined to state? Again, I do not think this is age appropriate. In fact, I had a comment made to me that the survey may be illegal, as it may be violating the federal law of PPRA, or Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment. So I hope that's not the case, but it is kind of sending up a red flag for me. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee Count.
All right. Yes, it has been a while. It's good to see everyone. So yeah, number of things. The DLAC meeting was fabulous. Thank you for reporting on that. I also was invited to and attended the Ramadan Iftar at the Noor Islamic Center, which was really beautiful. And the mayor of Concord was there as well. And it was just, a whole focus on peace in the world. And recognizing people in our community who may be hungry, and the idea of fasting to be able to feel that. So I appreciate our community partnerships, such as that organization. I attended the IB verification visit for Sequoia, which was great. It was really neat to see all of the things they have built up at Sequoia, and it went very well. Also for my sort of intersection of my day job and my school board, organized an event with Assemblymember Rebecca Bauer-Cahan at Las Lomas High School that was called Anxiety, Technology, and Our Schools, and it was held on March 26th. And we had the schools, they were breakout groups for each, for anxiety, for technology, and for schools. And for schools, we had Superintendent Dr. Nickerson from Acalanes High School District. And we would have had Dr. Clark, except it was the first day of CASA. And so we had Chris Clausen there to speak about schools and what our school districts are doing on the topic of anxiety and technology and mental health for our youth. And Chris did a fabulous job. So thank you for sending him. And part of what he talked about was our yonder pouches and how that's been going at a number of our schools. And I also attended the CASA conference, and it was amazing. I cannot recommend this conference more. This is my second year attending, and it was just incredible. It's just every workshop that I go to at this conference has always been really helpful, but also the convenings of the whole conference when we have speakers has just been so high quality. And just I think one of the biggest things is for me is how it feels to be at the conference. It's just one of the most like welcoming, inclusive spaces. Like, you know how they say, do as I do, not as I say, do as I say, not as I do. Anyway, the right, but it's better to be able to model it what you want to see, right? And so what we want to see in our schools is an environment where everybody feels welcomed and included in all different ways, right? It's not just, also it's different ways of teaching, right? It's not just talking at people, it's interacting with them, it's including music, and dance. The dancing is always really great at CASA. But just so many things that bring people together. And so it was very uplifting to be there. And I feel like I always want to bring that back, when I come back into the district. But mostly I want to congratulate the president of CASA, our very own superintendent, Dr. Clark. You did an amazing job. So thank you.
And also that we had such an amazing big contingent from our district.
We did.
there, so,
Yes.
Yeah.
Many people in the audience right here. Yes. Yes, and presenters as well. Many different presentations. Yeah. So to sum up a few of the learnings, I won't go through addressing racial trauma because you did that. I did like one of the analogies they had though was that one of the things that they had was like a picture, when you go on a roller coaster ride and there's that bar that comes down and like you feel like, okay, I can go upside down now. I'm protected because there's this bar, right? So the idea of the adult, as the adult, you are the bar of that roller coaster. So you are, for the student, you're that regulated, calm adult. You're the one who's providing that sense of belonging, as you said, and you're the one who needs to be helping that student with their self-esteem. As a student, I need to know I'm capable of learning this. And so if I'm reacting in a stressful PTSD kind of way, fight or flight, sometimes I'd rather be the bad kid than the dumb kid, right? And so for the adult to be able to show that I believe that you are capable of learning this, you are somebody and you are enough, just really something that stood out to me. And also, they talked about supporting students who are coming back from a non-public placement or some type of residential mental health could be situation. A lot of different ways where students are coming back into our schools from some sort of other place. And that we need to be very intentional about creating those pathways for them to return and be contributing members to the school community. And there was a shout out there to our own Rosie Reed and her team for how, as a district, people out there have seen that Mount Diablo is a place that is very intentional about making sure that those transitions are smooth for our students. So we're doing a great job out there. I did also another workshop that I went to was around fulfilling the promise of Brown, Brown versus Board of Education. And a few things from that. There was a discussion about how schools are the third most common location for hate crimes. That was surprising to me. And the most common type is anti-Black. And so they said, if you're wondering about that, Google just instances of threat against Black students in California, and you will see plenty. And so the recommendation was that us versus hate is something that every educator should be using to disrupt these types of things. And that after an incident, we have to make sure that we punish those who did it. We need to make sure we support the victim. And then we also need to understand why and use that to educate. Yeah, so that was one of the other ones. I can't go through it all. There was so much good stuff. But so I also attended the El Dorado multicultural fashion show, which I think Dr. Clark and I were both speeding from the airport, not speeding, driving the appropriate speed from the airport to get over to El Dorado before their event ended. And so congrats to the teachers and parents and students who put that on. It was great to hear that that's their first annual. Just, so the community just came out. They were all there. And it's an example of when you do things that are relevant for people, they will show up, the community is there. Also attended the CCC SBA meeting, and our president Mayo was there as well. Were you there? You were not there. Usually, Ms. Mason is there as well. And we heard from Patrick O'Donnell about the state of the state of education right now. So a lot of really great information. One of the things he emphasized was the need for our representation at their coast to coast advocacy in Washington, D.C. And it looks like they are going to get representation from all California counties. So that was pretty exciting. A few other things I want to mention. Sorry, this is so long. I just want to acknowledge the environment that we're in right now. The way that people in our country are being disappeared without due process, that there are student visas being revoked for no reason, that ICE is approaching elementary schools without uniforms or identification. And I feel like I don't recognize our country right now. And so I just want to reiterate that we need to keep each other safe. And, in our own local communities, that's one of the only things we can do. And so please keep sharing those Stand Together cards, the green cards or the red cards with everyone. And I just want to say that we will do everything that we can do to ensure a safe environment for learning. What the staff in LA did worked when the elementary school was approached by people who did not even identify themselves as ICE. The staff responded. They asked for ID, and they did not give out access to a student or student data, right? And in our district, that is our process, right? You would ask for ID, and you would send them to the district office to verify the warrant. And so please, everyone, keep following our policies on that. I just want to also share that our brothers and sisters at Sheet Metal Workers Union have an action that people can take part in. It's called Bring Our Local 100 Brother Home and Give Him Due Process. You can look up Smart Union on Facebook to see where you can take action there. And there's many more actions to please take to keep everyone safe. So speaking of the importance of our voices in this democracy, it is High School Voter Education Week this week and next week. So I would love to hear about what our schools are doing. Please invite us out or share with us as board members what you're doing on your school site to make sure that our high school students understand about the democratic process and registering to vote. Since 2016, over 1.3 million California students pre-registered, which is really great because once you're 16, you can pre-register, right? I know my daughter did that. And lastly, the California Coastal Commission is having an art contest for middle and high school students and encourages students in grades 6 through 12 to take part in a climate storytelling contest. And I've posted it on LinkedIn. It's at coastal.ca.gov/climate challenge. Okay, I think that's everything. Thank you very much.
Trustee Ochoa, what exciting news do you have to share with us?
Hello, I hope everyone had a good spring break. At the beginning of the month, I had the opportunity to visit Oak Grove Middle School for a student focus group. During our conversation, students shared honest feedback about their experiences on campus. Some of the concerns students raised included wanting improvements in how bullying is handled and hoping for more support from trusted adults when issues come up. Students also wanted more privacy in bathrooms and school restrooms and mentioned that taller walls in the boys' bathroom would help them feel more comfortable. Another hope was for more ex, sorry, except I cannot speak right now.
It's okay.
Another hope was for extend. Yep, there you go. There you go. Thank you. Another hope was for more extracurricular activities, especially sports like baseball, basketball, which many students are excited to participate. Students were also interested in adding vape detectors and more bathroom supervision. On a positive note, students were clear about the things they really love at Oak Grove Middle School. Many shared that they are appreciate the school counselors and mentioned that they feel listened to and supported and genuinely cared for. Students also said how they also enjoyed the robotics club, which has created a lot of excitement and interest among the peers. They also spoke highly of the teachers' positive energy and enthusiasm, as well as the quality of the cafeteria food. Thank you.
Very nice. I look forward to your reports every meeting because we learn something about our students and our schools that maybe we wouldn't always hear. Thank you. So first, I want to thank the Concord City Council members, and in particular, Councilmember Nakamura and Mayor Obringer, for recognizing our Mount Diablo Unified School District robotics teams from Ignacio Valley High School and Mount Diablo High School on April 1st. The recognition by Concord, our city, promotes the promise of our youth for Concord and the entire Mount Diablo Unified School District community. And what was also amazing to see was how the students from the YV High School robotics team cheered on the other two groups that were there to receive recognition. And they are supporting not only the middle schools in providing some robotics experience and training, but they're also supporting Mount Diablo High School and even supported the Clayton Valley Charter robotics team. So it's great to see that impact, and they actually received an impact award by the judges at a competition they attended. The judges created that award during the competition. It wasn't a regular award, because they were so impressed with the students' passion about sharing and cheering other students along in their work for the robotics program. I also attended the high school choir concert held at College Park High School. I want to compliment the instructors, the choral directors, for the selection of the music. It was many genres. And the performances, like Mr. McDougall shared, the performance by the students was excellent. And they were attentive, they were well behaved, and they also cheered one another along because they represented different schools. On April 3rd, like Ms. Cowan mentioned, we had the Contra Costa County School Boards Association meeting where we welcomed CSBA's Patrick O'Donnell, who's Chief of Governmental Relations, and he's the former chair of the California Assembly Education Committee. And he provided information on the current state of legislation affecting education in changing times. So if you wish to review his PowerPoint, it's on posted on cccSBA.org and on the April 3rd events title. So there was good information about those slides. So that concludes my report, and Dr. Clark, you're on stage.
You guys have my PowerPoint? I'm joking. I'm joking. Inside joke. I'm sorry. Yes, I know. I just have a few things. I do not have a PowerPoint. I'm playing a joke on them. First of all, I want to welcome everyone back from spring break. I hope that our families, our students our employees all, just got to rest, got to, I don't know, go travel or just sleep in or just do things out of the ordinary that they can't always do because of their school responsibilities. There are, I believe, 35 days left in school. And I just know that I was over at Olympic today, and on the screen it said 35 days left in school. So that stuck in my head. So our current reality, I just wanted to spend a moment on that, is we're coming to the end of the school year. This is always just a difficult time because of transition, because change is happening. We have our fifth graders getting ready to go to middle school. They're nervous and anxious, and so are their parents. The teachers are nervous and anxious because they're trying to prepare their students for that next level, and they know time is running out. Middle schoolers going to high school, there's going to be anxiety there and things of that nature. I was speaking with Trustee Ochoa today about that anxiety that our seniors are feeling about moving on to that next level. So it's just it's a joyous time, but it's also a very, very stressful time. And there's always going to be issues out in the community and the state and the country that that are going to cause us concern, or things that we agree with or don't agree with. But our reality in Mount Diablo is doing excellent things. I mean, excellent things. I could just go on literally for an hour and talk about all of the experiences that our students have and what we do as a board and as a governance team to ensure that those things happen. Whether it's our visual and performing arts, which I got all the invitation of band concerts and choir concerts and everyone together. The work that we do in athletics, Mount Diablo High School just got a brand new state-of-the-art turf field. We're with the Title IX work that we're doing over at College Park. We're going to really work to improve our facilities for our female athletes. And that's going to extend throughout the district. And then when you just think about all the different programs that we have, whether it's robotics, whether it's about having a student board member who is able to go around and meet with other students, or whether it's about JROTC, or just there's so many things happening in our district that I am extremely, extremely proud of. Now, in difficult times, people are upset and say things. And as superintendent, I take responsibility for every single thing that happens on this district. It comes to me, and I take that responsibility very, very seriously. And so I have thick skin when things are said about me that aren't true. Number one, the teacher who said tonight that I came to a site, first of all, she was wrong. I go to Pleasant Hill Elementary School all the time, and I never, ever post when I'm at a site. And I go to all of our sites, and I go unannounced, and I go inconspicuous, because I want to go and speak to the students and go see for myself what is going on. And on Friday before break, I went to Mount Diablo High School at 7:30 in the morning and hung out in the hallways, in the cafeteria, on the yard. I spoke to every single student that I came in contact with, and I cannot just tell you how delightful each one of those students were. Just talking. What are you going to do during break? What classes are you, what classes do you like? What are you going to do this summer? What are you doing after graduation, and things like that? And our students are just so engaging. I did the same thing over at Northgate. I went over to Northgate. Where's Mr. Sheehy? I had Mr. Sheehy's son come up to me in front of 600 kids and come right up to me, look me in the eye, shake my hand, introduce himself to me. Students do that all the time. So when I go out to our schools, which I go to, we have 55 schools. I go to as many as possible. When I'm holding babies at the at Crossroads, when I'm over at Oak Grove in their wellness center and things like that, talking to students, talking to staff, I'm inspired by what I see each and every day. We are doing the work. We are doing what our goals say we're going to do by really putting students first at the front of all that we're doing. Number one, to make them feel safe and accepted. But what I see is what is lacking, and what we really need to continue to build on is our instruction of our students and the support around that, right? We put a lot on our teachers, and rightfully so, because the one who has the biggest influence on students while they are in school is the teacher. So therefore, we want to make sure that our teachers have all the tools available to them that they need to meet all different types of learners. Because again, they don't know who's going to come into their class, who has a 504, who has an IEP, who's homeless, who's foster, who's an English learner, who is exceptional, right, but is board stiff in our system, right? We have those students in our schools, and we can't apply a one-size-fits-all model to instructing our students, right? So we have to be able to differentiate. We have to give our teachers as many tools as possible. And the person that's going to ensure that that happens is the site principal. So if you see with the principals who we hired tonight, you read in their bios their vast experiences that they have of being instructional leaders. And again, I expect you're not going to get through the door if you don't like kids. And if you don't accept kids, that's just a non-negotiable. But then finding folks who can really lead that instruction to make sure that we have, 60, 70, 80, 90% of our students working at or above grade level. What Catherine Fireman did not share with you tonight is our LTELs, they're scoring in the 1%, the 2, 3% of being at or proficient at grade level in ELA and math. So we have a special focus on those students. The other group that performs kind of equally to them would be students with IEPs. So we have work to do around supporting all of our students. So even though even though we have all these great things happening at our schools, I'm always going to take the responsibility on myself and wonder, what can I do more to support our students? But I will say, and I don't like to talk about myself. I don't like to talk about the things that I do, but I do lead a statewide organization. I do meet with superintendents and leaders throughout the country about educational things. There is not a person involved in the state of California in education who's a higher up, whether it's around finance, whether it's around special education, whether it's about instruction, whether it's about CSBA leadership, AXA leadership. I know them all, have them all in my cell phone. I know I showed Linda Darling Hammond's number and things like that. And the feedback that I'm getting from them are things that we are doing in this district. And so as we go through difficult times and as people are upset and people want to come and hopefully lash out at me and not lash out at the board or lash out at our teachers or lash out at staff, I want them to lash out at me. I know in my heart that we are doing the right things for our students. 29,000 students is a lot of students, but you take an LA Unified that has hundreds of thousands of students, we are tiny in comparison to them. But we're also very large to some of the superintendents who I know who lead a district of 300 students and the challenges that they face. So this is extremely difficult work, but it is so rewarding when you can go and interact with our students. And so the proof is in what our students are doing, how they talk about their experience, and that is my goal, that when students leave us in graduations, which we all are getting ready to go on the graduation, graduation tour, all of those speeches, all of those high fives and all that stuff, is when our students graduate and walk across that stage, I want them to look back and say, I had a positive school experience and I have the tools to do whatever it is that I want to go on and do. And that's the goal. So I'm up for the for the criticism, but I will put our district and what we're doing top to bottom against any district in the Bay Area or in the state of California with how we provide opportunities and support for our students. So again, I just want to thank this board. Thank you for your leadership and guidance and partnership as we navigate these difficult times, because spring is difficult. What we had to go through tonight was difficult. I can acknowledge that, and it's always difficult when changes need to be made. But we're going to continue to go forward, And I hope that that criticism continues to come my way, you know, because as a superintendent, it all falls on my shoulders. And so I'm willing and able to meet the moment and continue to show up each and every day for our kids. And that's what I'm going to continue to do as long as I'm here. So thank you.
So we are ready to move on to the consent agenda. Thank you, Dr. Clark.
Yep.
As you all know, the items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved or adopted by a single motion. There will be no separate consideration or discussion of these items. However, any item may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any member of the board and acted upon separately. So we have Mrs. Ortega. You wish to speak on this one? It looks like 510. Oh, I see. It's 15.1 is where you're going to speak. You are addressing item 510 under consent.
All right. So I'm back again because when I was looking at the agenda, I came across this item. And I want to speak to this because I had a concern that the district feels that they need to create and hire another district administrator at a salary over $230,000. Why? Why does this one position, how is this one position benefit our students? And Dr. Clark, you just talked about how you want to support our teachers, how you want to support our students, $230,000. This is insulting to me and to my members, especially since the district has only offered our educators a 1% pay increase. I am so confused to why the district feels that they can justify spending this amount of money when we have high schools that do not have full-time librarians. This salary alone can fund 2 high school librarians or fund 2 or 3 intervention teachers at a Title I school. The intervention teachers have been removed, and we talk about test scores over and over and over again. Catherine Fireman did an excellent job describing the program that she was just talking about. I was an English language learner. We didn't have those kinds of programs when I was growing up. We were told you cannot speak Spanish at school. I learned it at home. And yet we expect our students to learn these things. How are we going to support them? So my ask is please reconsider not funding another administrator who does not work directly with our students. Thank you.
Trustees, are there any items you wish to?
I have a comment. On item 15.2, we have a retirement in there, and I just wanted to call attention to Margie Calbeck, who longtime administrator, longtime principal, longtime team member. She's buried in there somewhere under retirements, but and I know she's not here to be embarrassed, but did want to acknowledge her. And then just to respond to the comments is Director of Enrollment Services. As you know, first impressions mean a lot, and we used to have people go to the sites to enroll their students, and so we have 55 sites. That's going to be 55 different experiences for our families to go through. Some sites have systems down, and they would have everything ready for parents when they came through the door, and other sites, they didn't have everything all organized and ready, and so then parents had to come back multiple times. When families are enrolling in school, it's probably one of the most stressful times for them. You saw that little baby in here earlier. When that baby is, 3.5, almost 4, they're going to come register for TK. And the Director of Enrollment Services creates that environment so that when that parent comes through, everything is ready. We're able to roll out the red carpet for that family, make sure that they have each and everything that they need so that they can enroll in school. And just so we're all crystal clear, we're funded on average daily attendance, but we're funded per student. So if our enrollment systems are not crystal clear and buttoned up extra tight, then there are no raises or salaries for anybody. So I would just like the Honorable President Ortega to understand how her members all get paid. Thank you.
Are there any items that members of the board would like to have pulled for separate consideration?
I would make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Mason with a second by trustee Nzewi on approval of the consent agenda as presented. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
I'm clicking, but it's not actually doing anything. I don't know if you guys are having that situation. Oh,
There we go. The consent agenda is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote with support from trustee Ochoa. We're ready to move on to the business items for tonight. Up now. I have a problem with the screen. I feel like I'm at home when the screen blips out.
I think all our screens are frozen.
Excuse me, is Melissa Gertzen still here this evening? She submitted a card earlier and it was submitted late. Okay, this was a public comment card. We'll reach out to her. All right. Okay, so we need to sign back on, right? I apologize. We could move on with item 18.1 while the rest of us sign on. Mr. Sheehy.
We have Mr. Sheehy coming with some good news, huh?
Great news, yes. Good evening, Dr. Clark, Madam President, Board of Trustees. I'm honored to present the following two items. The first agenda item settles the reopener negotiations of salary and benefits for the 2025-2026 school year with Teamsters Local Union number 856. This agreement is a testament to the collaborative work between the district and Teamsters. I would like to thank Mark Jones and Moore and the negotiating team and all Teamster members. I would also like to thank Melanie Coslow, Adrian Vargas, and our district team who supported a quick resolution to these reopener negotiations. And with that, I leave this in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to approve the tentative agreement between Teamster Local Union 856 and Mount Diablo School District for the reopeners in the 2023 to 2026 collective bargaining agreement.
I'll second that.
And thank you to all who were part of that collaborative team.
So I'm still joining the meeting. So we have a motion by trustee Cowan with a second by trustee Mason. Is there further discussion on this item? Hearing no further discussion, trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Here we go.
I think our screens are frozen again.
All right. We only have one trustee that hasn't clicked.
I clicked the button. The button just finally showed up and I clicked it, but it does not appear to be responding as of yet.
While we're waiting, I just wanted to give a shout out to the electronic marquee at Olympic High School that was recently installed. That was so great to see. So 18.1 with the approval with Teamsters has been approved on a 5-0-0 vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr.
Huge
Sheehy.
accomplishment.
Next item.
Next item, the collaboration didn't stop there. As part of the current collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters Local Union 856, a study by School Services of California confirmed that outdated roles and low wages have led to high vacancy rates, particularly among skilled and general maintenance workers. Through collaboration with Teamsters, job descriptions have been updated and the salary rates for particular positions have been increased through the MOU process, which is in front of you tonight. I want to thank Mark Jones and more, Melanie Kozlow, Adrian Vargas, both negotiating teams, and more importantly, our Teamsters representing employees who work each day to provide the best facilities for our students to learn and for our staff to work in. With that, I leave this in the hands of the board.
So is there a motion?
I move to approve. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry, on the.
That's why we're no one.
I know.
18.2.
I
I
know.
move we approve the
I-
memorandum of understanding with the skilled trades position between Teamsters Union Local 856 and Mount Diablo Unified School District.
Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Mason with a second by trustee McDougall regarding the memorandum of understanding with the skilled trades position between Teamsters Local Union number 856 and Mount Diablo Unified School District.
And I just want to say congratulations again. Thank you to all the teams, the Teamster teams, the district teams. This is just an example, I think, of what it looks like when teams can work together, focus on the very specific issues that need to be worked out that benefit everyone. It's a win-win. Thank you to everyone.
No, they're working on it. It's coming.
While we're waiting, I just and President Mayo, you brought it up. You talked about the marquee at Olympic, and I just want to thank Melanie Kozlow for that because that was done strictly from M&O, and Melanie wanted to make sure that Olympic was represented just like all the other schools. So people are quick to throw stones at Melanie, but I'm throwing some hearts her way because those kids deserve it, and your team put it together. So thank you. Yeah.
I was cut short by the 5-0 vote. Couldn't throw that in there. Okay, we have 2 people that need to vote on this item. There it is. 18.2 is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote with trustee Ochoa supporting. 18.3 is information. Dr. Clark.
So this is just a first read versus our March 2024 quarterly updates. And so we're just presenting this as information for the board.
Are there any questions from trustees? Not, you know who to contact. 18.4 is approval of some board policies if we're ready to take action on several of them.
Yeah, so two were for we're asking for 2 for approval and 4 for the first read. But
is there a motion on board policy 5144.1 and AR 5144.1 would be the 2 that we would be considering for action?
Waiting for our screens.
So moved.
Yep. Server error.
Review, okay, I move to approve changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations, September 2024 quarterly update. No, 18.4. 18.3 is not, okay.
So there's been a motion made to approve the revisions to Board Policy 5144.1 and AR 5144.1 by Mrs. Mason, who was the second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. McDougall. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, come on.
So while we're waiting, I just want to point out to the public part of this item 5144.1 includes one of the things that students can be one of the grounds for suspension and expulsion include creating a burn page, which is an internet website created for the purpose of causing a reasonable student any of the effects of bullying, credible impersonation, to knowingly and without consent impersonate a student for the purpose of bullying the student, and such that the student would reasonably believe that the student was or is the student who is impersonated. This is I'm just reading what we just passed, the regulation 5144.1, just to make sure that, that we are aware of this, so these are updates that have come to us, in education code. These are all education code that I was reading there. Basically the point being that all of our school districts have been updating our policies for issues of bullying that can happen with the new technologies that exist these days, right? So these are things that we take very seriously, and we're all updating our policies, and people can read that.
Okay, so 18.4 was adopted on a 5-0 vote with support from Trustee Ochoa. We're ready to move on to 18.5. There are policies here that are being presented for the first time. There are two policies, Board Policy 3320 and AR 3320, that have been presented once, and the board can take action on them tonight if you're ready.
I move to approve the revisions to BP 3320 and AR 3320 as presented.
Second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Trustee Nzewi with a second by Trustee Mason. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I apologize, I didn't call for discussion. Nope. All right. We're all good. And I appreciate the effort of staff in updating our policies because it's important. Yep. There we go. 18.5 is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote. 18.6 as additional board policies being presented for information. You
Yeah,
have,
that's just info.
right. So if you, do you have any questions you'd like to present now, or would you reach out to Dr. Clark later? Okay.
That one was pretty straightforward.
We don't need a meeting extension. We did have the one card. I will reach out to this speaker to find out, because it looks like, I'm not sure what they wrote. Looks like they would like to speak on item 21. So, so future agenda items? Nothing at this time? Well, let's adjourn the meeting at 8:36 p.m. Thank you, everybody.